For these protesters, Marieha Hussain is a symbol of free speech. The former teacher had been charged with committing a racially aggravated offence for her placard depicting Rishi, Sunak and Suella Braverman as coconuts. But today in court, she was found not guilty.
It goes without saying that this ordeal has been agonising for my family and I. Instead of enjoying my pregnancy, I've been vilified in the media, I've lost my career, I've been dragged through the court system in what can only be described as a politically motivated show trial.
This is a case with cultural and political significance that started here last November. As hundreds of thousands gathered to call for a ceasefire in Gaza, Suella Braverman, the Home Secretary at the time, condemned these protests as a hate march. Her words followed negative remarks about Pakistani men and asylum seekers many condemned as racist. In response, Marieha Hussain drew this placard that some may find offensive. Marieha Hussain told the court that the image was political satire that she made to criticise the inflammatory language of the then Home Secretary. The prosecution said that that placard had crossed the line from free speech into hate speech. The prosecution had even cited this.
Now she wants to be known as black.
Donald Trump being condemned for questioning the ethnicity of Kamala Harris was referenced as support for why the placard crossed the line. It was at this point that the defence barrister stood up and said, "You've got to be joking." Earlier this year, the Black Police Association had told Channel 4 News they were concerned that policing was being politicised at the expense of racial minorities. The court had heard how today's case was the result of a complaint on X made by what was called an anonymous right-wing blog based in Washington with pro-Israel interests. In court, an expert witness cited this BBC programme titled Coconuts to highlight how the term was often explored by racial minority communities, sometimes even to describe or critique their own political and cultural identity. The court heard that criminalising the term is setting a dangerous precedent. The court heard that the intra-communal language amongst black and brown minorities was now being held to a higher standard than other groups who had their own expression to describe political and cultural differences among them. It is this that has led to backlash against the CPS decision to charge Marieha Hussain. At the first hearing, protesters were arrested for holding up coconuts in support.
Are you serious?
Today, the court had heard how the Metropolitan Police had sought expert advice from Professor Kehinde Andrews to understand the offence. And in response, he made this video.
If I call you a coconut, is it a crime? No, of course not.
In a twist, Professor Andrews is now being investigated for that video. But how do you, as an anti-racist campaigner, find yourself in a position where you're justifying use of an insult that people say is racialized?
Who says it's racialized? These terms, coconut, these come from struggle. They come from us. The whole point of this is to say, you can't tell me I should be proud to have a brown Prime Minister and a brown Home Secretary, and then say, well, actually, when they do things which are racist, we can't criticize them. That's what it is. This is political language, and the judge made it very clear. This is political satire.
It is unclear what impact today's verdict will have on those cases, but what has been revealed are the inconsistencies and challenges the authorities have in recognising when a racial offence has been committed. These add further questions over how the political speech of minorities is policed, from those who say the decision to prosecute was coconuts.